Oh, what's happening, YouTube? Got another knife video for you today. We're looking at the Brian Efros Ice Lite by Alliance Designs and Urban EDC Supply. So this is an exclusive to Urban EDC Supply. Excuse me. I'm gonna drink. All right. Exclusive to Urban EDC Supply. Produced by Alliance Designs, but also could be made by Reate. There's a little confusion around that, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Someone can enlighten me on that. But this is a custom design that they kind of made basically into a production knife, a limited to production knife. So your basic overall specs are 6.92 inches overall, blade length of 2.89, handle of 4.12, and it weighs 112 grams. 118 grams, but we're in America, so we're gonna find out what that is in ounces. If this stupid thing was 0. Oh, 4 ounces on the dot. Wow, that's great when you can't see it. Let's scoot it back. Wow, that is so that can uneven part of my. This scale is garbage. I need to get a new one. Anyway, weighs 4 ounces. I'm not going to stop messing around with this. Didn't show it on camera, but whatever. Weighs 4 ounces. So, little knife. Let's do some size comparisons here. Let's open this guy up. And I think the best comparison would be the small Sebenza. This is the Wilson Combat 21. And it's roughly the same size as the Sebenza. Yeah, about the same. Actually, the Sebenza has more blade, and I think the Efros may have or the Ice Lite may have a little more handle, but not by much. How about the bench base bug out? I did put some new scales on my bug out. These are by Knife Ship Free G10. I do like them. They don't add any weight, 0.1 ounces, so, but they're a little bit nicer than the FRN. And everybody's favorite paramilitary 2. Obsolete dwarfs the knife. I don't know how to get this in frame for some reason. What's going on? There we go. Alright guys, so there's your size comparisons and your specs. So what about this knife? Well, it is one that I was pretty interested in. I wasn't really familiar with Brian's work. Did some digging on his Instagram. Thought, he's got some cool designs, and I wanted to check it out. And Urban EDC Supply sent this out to the. I almost bought this like 3 times, and then Urban EDC Supply sent it out to our pass around group, the Apex pass around group. So I was like, sweet, now I get to really check it out without having to buy it. the best possible scenario, right? Not having to spend your hard-earned money, because it is not a cheap knife. It is $350. So. Right there in the small Sebenza range, maybe a little bit less than the small Sebenza. Certainly is less than the small Wilson Combat, but right there in that kind of price range. RWL 34 steel on this guy, and I'm pretty sure it's made by Reate. I don't understand what the deal is with Alliance Designs because they're an American company, but I don't know how their interaction is with Reate. And then it's like there's 3 parties involved here, and it's kind of. That gets a little mudded and confusing. It's kind of like when Massdrop does stuff with companies. You're like, who's doing what? So, yeah. But about the knife. Fit and finish is excellent, as you'd expect, if it's made by Reate. Or if it's made by Alliance Designs, they have a good reputation as well. I'm thinking it's Reate, though. But fit and finish is very nice. Very nicely done handle. Very flush on the back spacer. On the milled pocket clip. Just a little bit of milling on the handle. All the hardware, I was going to say all the hardware's flush. This one's not quite flush, but that one's flush. Nice pivot on there. Just a good looking knife overall. Just really handsome looking. Pretty basic, but really nice. Thumb bearings. But yeah, aesthetically, the fit and finish is good. The blade's nicely ground. It's got some nice grinder satin going on there. Got your Brian Efros logo there. It's definitely a really slicey blade. Well, looks slicey. We'll see how thin it is behind the edge in a second. Ergonomics are good-ish. This is where kind of one thing where this knife actually doesn't work for me very well, surprisingly. So when you first get it in hand, you're like, it's got a comfy handle, you know, and it really feels comfortable. But then, for me anyway, well, not for me, but this part right here on the handle is kind of sharp. They should have chamfered this a little better. It's got a sharp angle right here, and it's a sharp corner. And I've noticed that a few times when using, or when not using the knife, but holding the knife. Just getting it in my hand, I've noticed that digs into your palm a little bit. It's a nitpicky thing. It's not that big of a deal, but it's something to note about Ergonomics that it does have a few little hot spots. There's a few sharp points all around the knife, right there, and then on this pocket clip right here is pretty pointy and sharp. Sometimes they just get you, you know, not a big deal, but other than that, the Ergonomics are really good. It's very comfortable in the hand. Would like to see some jimping up here, but by the time you get your thumb up here, because of the size of the blade, you're getting to the spine and how it tapers, so you're not going to be able to get much jimping there anyway, so that's not the end of the world either. So Ergonomics are good. Now, one thing that to talk about Ergonomics, and how it also pertains to the next, or to one of the other points, is action, is the thumb studs are freaking massive. I don't know if you guys can tell from this view here, but they stick out way past the handle. Like, they're not flush with the handle, they're like way out here. They're just huge thumb studs. I mean, look at them. Look at the size of those guys. They're massive. Look at it compared to a Svenza and their thumb studs. And it's just a massive difference. Look at the size difference. It's huge. They're almost like bug out thumb studs, but the bug out thumb studs don't even stick out as far. And they're not as big. So just a few comparisons. Just some massive thumb studs that are they're unnecessarily big. They're just huge. They work well, but they're also they also have some sharp corners and angles on them. So when you use them, it kind of gets into your thumb a little bit. But the knife flies open with them. So the action's really good on the knife, but the detent's about perfect. But those thumb studs, and you can middle finger flick it, but that thumb stud really gets your finger when you do that. So just some little things about it that are kind of off for me about the design. So, but aesthetically pleasing knife, yes. I mean, it's pretty well, you know, pretty basic titanium. It's got a nice finish on the blade. Just, you know, it's a good looking knife for sure. I like the way it looks. That's actually what drew me to it, was the looks, right? I was like, ooh, I like that little guy. You know, it's nice. And at the time, I was really into small knives when this first came out, so I thought it was going to be a winner for sure. But it's, you know, it's got a few things that have kept me from actually wanting to purchase one myself, which I'll get to at the end. But the action is nice, though. It's on bearings. It does fly out pretty well. Good detent. Yeah, you're not using that thumb stud. I get used to doing that with the Chris Reeves thumb studs. You got to use the meat of your thumb and get it out there. So, and it's pretty smooth, not bad. Let's see, sliceability. How well is it cut? Let's find out. Let's see how thin behind the edge it is. It looks like it should be pretty thin. That can't be right, because that's not that thin at all. But I think I'm not getting an accurate measurement. This is always hard to do because you got to get, okay, yeah. So it's about 18 thousandths behind the edge. So pretty thin. Decently thin. Most production knives are around 20 thousandths or higher. So 18 thousandths is pretty good. Pretty slicey little blade. Our WL34, decent steel. You know, it's comparable to, what is it, like a powdered 154 cm kind of thing, I think. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's right around where it's at. So not bad. How does it carry? Let's see. This is one thing I don't like about the knife either, is the pocket clip. It's just a little large, and you know how it, I don't know, it just takes up a lot of the knife. It could be a lot. I mean, I love how it curves with the knife. I think that's a great design element for sure. Nice design element with the curve, but the sharp points, and it's a little stiff. It doesn't have much spring to it, so it is a little difficult to get on and off the pants. And it doesn't carry very deep. which is funny because on the Urban EDC Supply website with the pocket clip, they said it cutters deep, but look how much, that's not deep at all. I mean, that's quite a bit of knife sticking up, which, you know, not everyone loves deep carry, but that's the retention of the pocket clip is definitely a little too much, and it's a little hard to get on the pocket, so something to consider as well. Value wise, yeah, $350 is pretty steep for this guy, I think. All things considered, what was the, you can get like a Mastrap Prism for a lot, like $100 less, but I think it has the same steel, RW34. The Baby Machine was a little bit more expensive, or no, Baby Machine's actually less than this, and it's, I think, quite a bit nicer. I'm just thinking of Reate type made knives, you know, in this price range, if it is made by Reate. If it is made in the US, then, you know, the price is probably right where it is, because it's, you know, the cost of manufacturing is higher. So I don't know that I would buy it over like a small Sebenza, especially when you can get a small Sebenza on the secondary market for under $300 pretty easy. I would definitely pick this knife over that one. And that, you know, it's unfortunate for a lot of knives, because that's what most knives are measured by for me, and a lot of people are the Sebenzas, and a lot of times they're just not quite there. So value is not the best. I think $250 would be a good value, for sure. $350 is a little steep. That's just my opinion, though. So X factor on this guy, yeah, I mean, it's nicely, I mean, it's really well made, nicely centered. It's got a comfortable handle, except for that little hot spot that gets me, but that might not get everyone. But it does feel pretty comfy in the handle. The blade to handle ratio is not good. Well, yeah, because it's got like under a 3-inch blade and a 4-point-something inch handle. So, you know, you could easily have squeezed 3 inches into this. They may not have wanted to for legal carry, you know, in a lot of places, and that makes sense if that's the case. That would totally make sense to me if that's what, you know, that's the justification behind the blade length. The blade length, and the blade is just kind of an interesting design. I think for me, what takes away the design of the knife a lot is these ginormous thumb studs. Like, you got this little, kind of little blade and just big thumb studs on there. So, and you know, like I said, they're functional. They're a little sharp. You can't really, I mean, you can. It just gets you. It's a strong detent for middle finger flick, and these really are uncomfortable to use with that. And you can't really slow roll it, because when it breaks the detent, the knife kind of almost flies open. So the detent is a little strong for that. So I don't know. For me, it's a pass. I'm glad I got the handle one. I really appreciate Urban EDC Supply sending it out for the pass around group, and I know, you know, everyone's gonna have different reviews. If you guys don't subscribe to the channels in the pass around group, you should. I'll try to list them all below in the description. There's quite a few of us, so I may or may not, I may miss a couple, but there's a lot of us, and or maybe what I'll do is I'll do the ones that are reviewing this knife, because not everyone picks each knife that's in the pass around. So I will try to do, let's see here, Urban EDC Ice Lite. Oh, we've only got 5 of us. 1, 2, 3, 6 of us. So myself, Zach Stuff, Banter 247, Blade Banter, Metal Complex, and Grateful Panic are the ones that are going to be reviewing these. Sometimes, I know Eugene Kwan's already reviewed it as well. So I'll put links in the descriptions to all these guys' channels, you know, so you can go check them out. You should definitely check them out and subscribe. If you're not, they're all fantastic knife channels, and they're all part of the pass around group. They're all kind of, you know, you know, we do a lot of reviews on the same knives, and it's interesting to get a different take. You know, you may think, you may listen to everything I say, or you may take what I say and then go read someone else's, or watch someone else's review and say, yeah, I like that review better, and that's fine. You know, this is YouTube. That's good to have a lot of different opinions. It's kind of like going to the doctor and getting a second opinion on, you know, okay, that's a bad example. But it's kind of similar, like, you know, getting a second opinion on a knife. Maybe you like it. I didn't love it. Maybe someone else, maybe Eugene loved it, and maybe you think, huh, maybe I'll try it out just because there's 2 different contrasts in your reviews. I don't know. It's good to have variety. It's good to have contrast. So thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.